And if you're not, I still wish you a happy 4th. We're just doing a little TFT right now. I may switch over to game dev stuff later, but just kind of chilling out right now. It's raining here in Texas, so they canceled a lot of the festivities. But I think they're still planning on doing fireworks tonight, unless it's like thundering and lightning. So. Zaya doing a ton of work this game. Oh my gosh. Is Mordekaiser gonna destroy me? I almost did. I got him. 11,000 damage from that Zaya. Oof. Wow. He's level 9 as well too.
We never stop. We never stop.
Alright, where's my... I was like, should I re-roll and try and get a tier 3 Alawi? It worked.
Come on.
Wonder if I could get a tier 3 Zaya this round.
Call me cute again.
Nice. Okay, got another BAM. Helios. Oh, I guess he is a marksman. Dang. Oh, already has Bramble Dust. Whoops. Maybe I should have gotten another Thieves Glove to put on Yumi. Hey, there it is.
A lot to consider out on the field today.
Garen tier 2?
And the winds keep coming.
I'm about to ruin your day.
Yeah, let's just get to 9, I think, so we can get either the Yuumi back out there, or if we need more frontline, we can get Rost out there and use Yuumi as the spawn him from Aurora. Oh, it's just me and FedEx now. I didn't realize there was only 2 of us left. Okay. Cho'Gath down. Zac down. Hey, is he gonna quit or is he gonna pull this through? Renekton. Where's my Seraphine on here? Fairly low, which I expect her to be because she has no items either, but I also don't have items to put on Renekton if I were to put him out there, so it's kind of useless in my comp as well too. He is a Bastion though. He's actually more useful than Kabuko. This would be the last round if I can win it. Maybe he'll be able to pull something through with what he got. Oh! Oh, he did it. Okay.
The whole team graciously gives up a win. Oh, a big buy.
Because another anime squad out there is not going to help me. Wow. Oh my god, he's got a tier 3 Zuri now? Holy crap. Here, I'm gonna change some things around here.
Stand and fight.
Oh man, that's why he's killing me now. That tier 3 Zuri hurts. It's been a long time since I've seen a tier 3 champ.
This is field research.
A stellar draft from the whole team.
Alright, this could be bad, boys and girls.
I hear the innocent cry out.
Yeah, he's gonna beat me if I can't hit some of my last picks here. Oh, a tier 3 Zed too? Wow. Yeah, I just can't do it now. He got way too strong. Oh, and Aurora. Tier 2. Dang it. I mean,
Let's get this over with.
I don't think it's gonna change anything. And the Zac, the Zed, and the Zeri are just way too powerful. Dang. I almost had that, and then he turned it around with the picks that he got. That's alright. Second place is good. Wow, that's crazy. Well, I did get both of them, but it didn't matter. Did I do a game dev stream the other day? I think I was going to, and then I missed out, or I fell asleep, or something. I don't think I did one. I did one the other day, but I was gonna do one yesterday and I didn't, so. Kabuko stun is worth the lack of synergy. Yeah, he didn't really fit well in my comp. I was trying to get a Xayah tier 3 to take on that Zeri tier 3, but didn't have enough money for rerolls. Artifact angle, huh? Alright, Zed.
Welcome to another exciting match. You paid for the whole seat? Ha! You'll only need the edge. Superior strategy brings home that win.
Two Shyvanas.
The city's future is riding on Anima Squad
Is this
shoulders.
part of a new strategy?
So we have a couple options here. We go Nitro and something else. We go Techie. Let's just see what some of our other picks get us.
They see their end.
The power of Anima Tech.
Home team starring up a unit.
Because we got Nidalee out there and we got another amp here. So I'll just keep that Nefari for now.
That's how Anima Squad gets it done.
Ooh, a strategist, huh? Okay. Interesting. This one could be good. Spoils of War 2. Gain 2 item components every 5 wins gives you an item component. So here, strategist. I don't even know if I'll have a strategist in my comp. Who's a strategist? Echo, Yumi. I think we're doing this. Did I get it? I did. At the last second. Split second. Oh my gosh, that Mordekaiser. Hey dude. So powerful at tier 1. Or level 1, I should say. What's his thing here? It's arm-plated armor. That's a good one. I do need to get this out though, so I can, if I'm really gonna go this route.
They should
Hey, look at that.
Whole team padding the roster.
Just keeping my options open right now. I don't want to use my items because depending on what side I go, I may want to align heavier on different items. So I'm going to keep them for now, even if it means I lose. Come on, Kindred. Yeah, get that Jarvan. Oh, you got the buy too. Barely. 1 hit left. Nice.
Keep an eye on that one, folks.
Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Get the Varus. Oh my gosh. I said get the Varus. If we can get some good items on Shyvana, that would be... Shyvana will be pretty good late game. Oh, he's doing Nitro it looks like as well too, but not out in his... on his table, though. Oh, let me see. What do I need here? Maybe the bronze? If I can get the bronze. Yeah. Nice! Because with these boom bots now, I'm just gonna upgrade them. Shyvana is a bastion, huh?
There's movement on the
We'll
board.
do that for the amp, I guess. Okay. Two echoes, two graves. Oh, Seraphine, you missed.
That's how Anima Squad gets it done.
Oh, no! Giant finally topples! New unit hit the bench.
Keeping my options open for Techie as well too.
That's a win for the home team.
A lot of offensive items.
That's a bold choice.
I need an Elise. Elise is also one of those champions where I usually don't see often. Who's frontline for Techie? Oh, Mordekaiser actually. Ooh, Sunder? This one's pretty good too. Yep.
The city's future is riding on Anima Squad's shoulders. That's how Anima Squad
Hey.
gets it done.
Think a lot of people split with 50. I'm gonna split. 4 plays
New
just split.
unit hitting the bench.
Alright, still got more than what I would have gained straight out from the 10. Oh, not too bad. I don't think I'm gonna use the Braum. I need someone else to complement my Shyvana. This is Bastion for 5-star. Renekton. It's the only Bastion, I think. If I could get a Mordekaiser, the Kabuto is at least a bruiser to complement that. What the heck are you trying to do in my backline, yo? Oh, I'm dead now. Because you guys chased. What was that? You guys letting the bears destroy you. Ugh. Ooh, there's an Elise there. Need some more defensive items, though. Oh, they took the ones I wanted. Well, Elise has a belt at least. So I can get the hero and an item that I'm looking for.
The power of Anima Tech.
Home team padding the roster.
Alright, I need to get this Elise set. Yeah, go Kindred, go! Oh my god, that Ross is beefy. Man, everyone's got a Varus this round, it seems like. It didn't matter though. Nice.
That's a bold choice. Interesting. Let's see if this new strategy pays off.
Still getting a lot of anime squad in my shop rolls. Where do you think I should put the what is it? I always forget the name of it. Yeah, Last Whisper. You think I should put that on Kindred? Because it'll buffer a little bit, but it'll also break their armor. Is that what it does? Is it sundering? Or is it yeah. Doing alright. For now. Maybe we get another techie on the plate? I mean, I need another front line. Heavy hitter. Hey, another Elise.
I know what lurks in the
Dynamo.
shadows.
Dynamo's pretty good. Ooh, a Jin? Doesn't really go with the Kindred though. Oh, Kindred's a marksman. Ooh, I should actually get a Jin. Because it'll buff Elise and it'll buff Kindred. Forgot that Kindred was also a marksman. I was just thinking that she was rapid fire. So maybe I swap that out with the Zyra.
We must all make
Zyra doing a lot of damage for me. Ah, Zyra is doing a decent amount of damage for me, yeah. Photo! Alright. Oh, we got some good defensive items now, though. It's like it knew what I was asking for. We're doing it. Get out of here, Zyra. I might regret that.
I know what lurks in the shadows.
A Leona. Ooh, that vein hurts. Ouch. Ouch. Ooh, that vein hurts. Divine Corp and what did he have on his front line? Bruisers? Or was it Slayers?
There is nothing to fear.
It's not bad. Ooh.
Home team, starring up a unit.
I'm gonna do that.
They should run. What could this combo mean? Is this part of a new strategy?
Let's just pause there for a second. Damn, that Shyvana is just getting. Huh. Ripping through my front line. Let's just get to 8 then. We'll probably save the duplicators for Shyvana, I'm thinking. To get to tier 2. Take down that Zac. Jeez. Hey, is that a treasure box for us? A pirate's just for me. We're gonna have to replace the Seraphine soon as well too. Frying pan. I probably won't get it though because no. Trying to build another item for Jin. Vex, what are you doing? Cypher and that's not a lot of strategists in here.
I know what lurks in the shadows.
Oh. What is that, a tier 3 Alistar? Hey.
Superior strategy brings home that win.
Whew. Should we sell the Seraphine?
There is nothing between.
Ooh, nice. A fresh face out there.
Come on, just need one more Jin. Oh, ow. That's it. I just, Zed took out my backbone. I don't have enough damage. That Vayne does so much damage too.
The quiet
There we
before
go.
battle.
Oh gosh, another Nefari that I just saw.
A lot to consider out on the field today.
They should run.
Massive play from the home team.
Oh my gosh, so many Cho'Gaths. kind of worked.
I know what lurks in the shadows.
Home team padding the roster.
Three dynamos as well too. This fortune would be the fourth dynamo if we were to go that route. Interesting. Can't get any more Mordekaisers though, either. Ooh, that tier 2 Aphelios and tier 2 Amy's there. There's another
Home
Mordekaiser.
team starring up a unit.
I know what lurks in the shadows.
Dang, I can get the one on that one.
The home team takes damage, but does not yield.
I want this for the Sunder. Lightning and the Sunder. Oh, I got another champion duplicator. Okay. I only have 12 health left, so should I use that?
Huge star up.
Jin or Mordekaiser? I want to use this on her. I think we're going to do this. Would be a bad idea, but hey. Oh, yeah.
Live fast, die young.
Home team picking up a key unit.
I'm gonna leave something interesting for later.
Home team racks up a win.
Interesting. Yeah, I totally forgot I had the amps there. Kindred.
Keep an eye on that one, folks.
Renekton. Ah. That'd be interesting. I don't know if they'd work well on my comp though. I feel like it would. Is she a Pat Caster? Come on, T-Rex. What are you doing? Okay, there you go. Yeah, we'll keep Renekton as a, I don't know, last resort, I guess. I don't know.
Exciting, isn't it?
I think it's good having Samira there as the call-in now. So, let's do it. I've got 12. I'm living on a lifeline here with 12 left. So. Oh, and there he was. Could have saved it. Could have maybe saved it to get Nidalee to tier 3. Oh, oh yeah. And here we do this. And then this. Might be a really bad idea. Okay. No, the Zed's gonna kill my Samira. I'm dead. Rip. Fifth place. Not as great. Yeah, what? Nidalee, Kindred, and yeah, Nidalee and Kindred are tier 1s. Shyvana's a tier 2, and Elise is a tier 3, or a level 3 champion, I should say. So, like, if you can't get Kindred and Nidalee to tier 3 late game, they just become your weakest link, essentially, and they take up 2 champion slots on the board, so. This is one of my little girls. Yeah? Can I get down? Yeah, the other one is sleeping on her bed right behind me. So that was my little dog, and then my cat is sleeping on the floor behind me, on her bed. Alright, let's play. Where are we at for time here? I'm gonna do one more, and then I'll switch over to game development.
Let's raise the stakes.
Raise the stakes, says TF.
Welcome to another exciting match. You paid
Mighty
for the whole
Muffin,
seat? Ah,
Boy
you'll
Wonder,
only need the
Insanity.
edge.
Shit, my name won't fly. Blade, leg strong. Some of the names. Mordecai's are starting out, huh? Interesting. Do we go Axotech this round?
Whole team wraps up a win.
You in good hands.
It's a bruiser at least. Bruiser emblem. Gain 1 reroll for every 2 unique 2-cost champions fielded last combat. Huh? I don't like that one. Bruiser emblem could be good. Yeah, honestly our best one.
The quiet before battle.
I don't think I'm gonna go. What is this? Dynamo? Wanted me to go Dynamo again? Oh, this guy's got Nitro and Techie. Starting out too. I mean, I got a Lisa and a Shyvana. I don't know if I want to.
Keep an eye on
I could, if I were to do it, it would be right now. Gosh, I really don't. I really don't like Nitro. I'm not gonna do it. There we go. Yeah, a lot of Mundos though too. Jax too. Yeah, that was a pretty good reroll. Got my tier 2 Mordekaiser already, which usually never happens with Mordekaiser. I think I can count on one hand when I've gotten a tier 3 Mordekaiser. For this set. It's not a lot. Get that Graves. No!
Team takes a hit.
Jin, you had one job. Actually, you had 3 there, but it's besides the point. A damage item, like the Jarvan. Yeah, it's my Jarvan. Because at least if I can get a blade, I can either get a damage item or if I can get a tier, then that will help for Jin. Because I'll need to buff up Jin and I'll need to buff up Varus whenever I get him. Oh, alright, let's just go up. I'm not going to put out Graves until... I'm not going to put out Graves until I get Varus, because then I'll have 2 Executioners. I just let you down, dog. Now you want to get back up? Come here. Oh, yes. You just want to... You just an attention whore, huh? You want to be on camera? Is that what it is? I can't resist you though. You gonna go back up on your bed? Huh? Should we do? Should we buy or should we re-roll? What will we re-roll for right now? A Jin, probably? Or trying to get a Varus? Who's next there? Oh, I need a Sejuani and a Ziri as well too. I think for a Sejuani and a Ziri we need a higher percentage chance since they're level 4. So I think we would need to like get at least to 6 to start trying for that. Otherwise we're kind of just wasting rerolls. Oh my gosh, that Jinx. So I think we'll buy them. If I get another bruiser, that would be pretty cool as well. Sorry, LeBlanc, I had no need for you. Okay, so there would be a damage item for Jin. I think, Varus is a magic caster. Boy wonder. under? Is it still at 100? Oh my gosh. What a misfortune. It's alright, that misfortune will be very weak lately. Okay. A Zed and a sparring glove, huh? For Slayer? Interesting. I don't know if I want to go Slayers though. Or maybe I do because I've never done it before. That's the time to do it then. Try new things. I was gonna go Executioners to be honest, but it seems like Slayers is being a lot more beneficial for me. I think I also passed upon a Jarvan that I should have gotten earlier as well too. But if we're gonna go Slayers, that also means we need to get a Bane as well too. So I have two out there. I have a Zed. I guess we don't need to get a Vayne. Speaking of Vayne. A lot of anime squad, jeez.
Nice. A fresh face out there.
Vanguard, it doesn't work with my bruiser build. Hey, there's the Varus. Do we switch off of Exotech? I don't think we want to switch off of Exotech. I think we just want like... I was gonna go Exotech and Executioners, but maybe we go Exotech and Slayer? Oh my gosh, with one hit. Nice. I really wanted that Cho'Gath, because the tier would have completed an item for Jhin, but also it would have given me another bruiser as well too. A strong bruiser at that. So here's what I think I'm gonna do.
A lot to consider out on the field today.
I hear the innocent cry out.
Oh.
I hear the innocent cry.
Got that coffee here. Because even if I put Varys out, there we go. Alright. Hey, there's my Sejuani. Okay, well,
Scoring up for you.
I was just about to say, even if I put Varys out, I don't have enough for the 5 Exotechs out there. But now that I got Sejuani, that changes things. I think I just need to also get to 7. He's always laughing all the time. Wouldn't be laughing if, or taunting, I should say. Wouldn't be taunting if he, was the one losing. Yeah, let's just get to 7 because I'd like to keep my Slayers out there, but I would also like to get my Exotechs up as well too. Alright. I have an egg I need to deal with.
We shall rest when we are dead.
Be great if I could get Mundo to.
You in good hands.
That trait's gonna ruin someone's day.
Oops. So back down to 2 Slayers. Gosh, gotta kill that freaking misfortune. Okay.
From the shadows, the home team strikes.
Who is my biggest dealer? Jin? Okay. Oh my gosh, all frontline heroes? think I have enough damage to take on all this HP. Vanguards as well too. He doesn't really have enough damage output though. His Cho'Gath is pretty funky though, so that's gonna be a problem. Yeah. Couldn't do it. That Cho'Gath got way too powerful.
The home team takes damage, but does not yield.
Oh, that Zeri, tier 2, huh? Yeah, my frontline just can't seem to last that long, unfortunately. It's one reason why I don't like Sejuani and Mordekaiser. I feel like they're some of the weakest frontliners, even though Mordekaiser has that stun, and then he puts a shield up when he does that stun. But yeah, I still feel like he's one of the weaker level 3s. I don't know if that's just me or not putting the right items on him, or
That's a win for the home team.
more Jardins. Ah! Okay, here's what I think I'm gonna do. That's game. Rip. Alright. Well, let's switch over to game development then. I'll do the switcheroo here. Give me 1 second. Gotta pull everything up here. Yes, League of Legends, I do not care about buying any of your merch. Here it is. Here it is. Okay. Actually, I need to. I'm going to turn on some music here for a bit. Give me a sec. I need to actually go to the bathroom before we start. Otherwise, I'm going to be stopping like midstream while I'm talking about something important, and I'll need to go to the bathroom. So I'd just rather do it now before I start kind of getting into it here. So let me turn on some music here while y'all chill, and let me go to the bathroom really quick. So give me a few minutes here. I gotta get on my Twitch royalty free playlist here. If I can find it. Alright, I'll be right back.
Stuck in the shadowland, nobody's innocent. Hand to mouth, we live like demons. Stuck in the phantom zone, lost in a thunderdome. Twilight ruled the day. We found the impossible, now we're unstoppable. Taking off the world beneath us. Strong under pressure, we'll make it together. Our universe will change. Freedom, looking down a telescope. Starlight, never been so beautiful. Whole world waiting for us, time to go. Escaping gravity. We'll be rising high above the rain. Sunset, never gonna be the same. Thunder calling us to outer space. Escaping gravity. Escaping gravity. Escaping gravity. Straight to the galaxy, faster than sanity. Left behind a land forsaken. Black holes and meteors, riding on shooting stars. Fearless like our dreams. We shoot down a satellite, wings of a butterfly. Constellations recreate and fighting for liberty. Raising the energy, bursting at the seams. Freedom, looking down a telescope. Starlight, never been so beautiful. Whole world waiting for us, time to go. Escaping gravity. We'll be rising high above the rain. Sunset, never gonna be the same. Thunder calling us to outer space. Escaping gravity. Escaping gravity. Escaping gravity. Starlight dances in the silver of the night sky. Way above the clouds, we will be sailing high, sailing high, sailing high. Ooh, you and me, we're gonna touch the stars, find the center of the universe. New reality in front of us, escaping gravity. We'll be rising high above the rain. Sunset, never gonna be the same. Thunder calling us to outer space, escaping gravity. Escaping gravity. Escaping gravity.
All right, we're back. Awesome. Took that little break there, and we are ready to go. My glasses here. Awesome. So last time we talked a bit about we talked a little bit about tracking, some tracking software. we talked a little bit about mind mapping as well too, and kind of what it's used for, kind of a way, an exercise to kind of get your ideas out there as well too. Some things that they're used for, inspiration, mood boards, we've used them in the past. Let me see. Yeah, like especially for like art and creative directors and stuff, they'll use it to show like comparisons or thematic wrappers, or do art reviews even as well too. So and Miro has become a great tool for that. So I want to emphasize here as well too, when I talk about some of these tools, I'm not saying like use Miro for all these types of things. Like this is just a tool off of a tool belt. I think it's very important that there's no one right tool, because the context of the problem or the solution or how your team works, whether they're remote or in office or whatever and stuff. And especially if they're in office, there's different things you can do as well too. But with code development or code distribution as well too, located usually across the globe and on larger projects as well too, it's not always possible to do the type of exercises in office. That's one benefit of everyone being in office. But especially with like hybrid and everything like that nowadays, you have to think about more of these tools being more, I wouldn't say remote friendly, but available for people to use if they're not physically located in that same office. And you need to have that flexibility, right? Because life happens. So, and I'm a very big proponent of that, and making sure that all of my team members are included in exercises that we're planning that are beneficial for the team, so that we can do our best work when we're together, and we can also do our best work when they just need focused time and doing individual contributor work as well too. So like utilize these as tools off of your tool belt is kind of the mentality that I have. I have tools in my toolbox or off my tool belt and stuff that I can use to solve these different problems. Sometimes they're the same and I don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? And stuff. But if it's like, hey, we have these problems where it's like, hey, we need to be able to collaborate. We want to share ideas. We don't know what to do going forward. And so I'd be like, hey, have you guys used Miro before? No? Okay, like, here's how it could solve our problems. Anyone used anything like this before? And some will be like, oh, we've used, I don't know, Notion or Figma or something like that. And it's like, okay, do you guys want to do that instead and stuff? And you just, and so like it just, you can suggest ideas and you can suggest solutions and stuff, and then the team can go from there. And these are just tools to help us solve problems. And not just that, like we talk a lot about AI now as well too. And so how can AI tools such as GPT or any of the other ones as well to help us be able to move past these unknowns, these problems we need to solve, these brainstorming sessions, whatever it is that your team is faced with. How can you also utilize AI as a tool in order to solve and get past those hurdles as well too? Okay, cool. So I think today here, let's kind of move forward with, I know we just got the basis here as well too, because I'm just trying to show you guys examples from a production standpoint here as well too, but I think I want to focus a little bit more on kind of what this game is and kind of doing like the core aspects here of, get rid of some of these tabs here. I always have tons of tabs open. So we're we're doing the MVP, the scope. We're not really ready for the asset list yet until we identify scope and nail that down. I think we'll want to start doing analysis. I keep bringing up the kind of what's in the market right now and potentially what our cohorts of players are going to be that we're going to try and attract for this game as well too. And that's going to be serving two purposes. One, it's going to help us really understand what players we're trying to grasp so that we can really identify what the MVP is going to be and what attracts those type of players from those different cohorts as well too. And so it's kind of core to what's in the market, how is our game different, how is it better, how do these features compare to what these type of players are interested in as well too. And then two, it's going to be very beneficial to know that as well too when we make this pitch, because if I'm trying to find an investor, whether it be a GoFundMe, a Kickstarter, or an actual VC or angel investor, they're going to want to know, what is your audience for this? What is your projected audience for this? What platforms, and then what would your revenue spread look to be at that? If you're saying, hey, we're going to do mobile console, PC, and Mac and stuff, okay, well, that opens up my opportunity there. Is it only current gen console? Is it last gen as well too? That also determines scope. Is it these type of players we hope to get? Like, all those things come into play when I'm trying to pitch this as well too. So we'll get into some of that analysis. I'll probably do that at a different time as well too. So monetization ties into that as well too. We're going to have to talk a little bit about monetization here. So maybe we do that now. Let's just kind of dive into that here, because I've been wanting to talk about this as part of the core loop and some of the mechanics as well too. So actually, before we do that, let me actually kind of go down here into some of the because this is going to help kind of inform monetization as well as MVP, as well as level design, as well as the asset list as well too. So I actually want to kind of cover the first objectives that we want going out as well too. So actually here, I'm going to create another section here as well too. So this would be what are we doing here? So here, oops, no, don't want that. I wanted a sticky note. Let's do a different color because I have all the yellow stuff up above. So they seem a lot bigger than the last ones as well too. Oh, no, that's just how it starts. Okay. So I think here I'm thinking so when I talk about MVP objectives, I'm talking about like, what are some of the first levels going to be? We may be getting ahead of ourselves here as well too, because we want to do if we want this to be narrative driven, then so I'm thinking about this in my mind as well too. If it's narrative driven, we can create more of an aspect here and control the aspect of player agency and outcomes of that as well too, where the decisions the player makes really determines that. But if it's less narrative driven and more like, I don't know, we could still have AI in there, but if it's more like procedural, because then we lose that replayability too. And kind of wondering here. Because I think we want to make this a much smaller game for our first one as well too. So I'm actually thinking we do something kind of more narrative driven. But like, I know cinematics can be super expensive as well too. So yeah, we're gonna drive with that for now, and we'll have a plan B later for that. So I think what we're gonna do, and I think it will probably just be single player for right now, and if there's an aspect here where it needs to be multiplayer, or that's what like VCs want or players are asking for when I like ask for feedback for this while I'm doing this, if I'm actually going to pitch this, then we'll make it with that in mind to where that can happen. Okay. So I think going back to the levels here, the first ones that I'm looking at is, if we're doing more narrative driven here. So I'm just thinking about like not the narrative arc here, but more so, and so like players want to have connections to these characters, right? I'm thinking like a Uncharted, Last of Us, maybe not kind of a Tomb Raider, but something that the players can connect with, like on a personal level. And I'm not really thinking about those aspects right now. I'm thinking more about like the things they're going to be doing, like some of the high beats in terms of preparation. Like they're going to prepare for battle and stuff, and then like this would be like the first battle that they fight in. So I think this would be one of the objectives, one of the, I'm also wondering here as well too, because remember this is going to be PvE as well too. Dog, what do you want? What? Oh, did you eat all your food? Okay. Good job. Do you want to come with that? Or do you want more food? Come here, then. Jeez. There you go. Ugh. I spoil her so much. All right, so I'm thinking here that this would be MVP objectives, and this would be MVP like game modes. So this would be so these are not tied together in any way. I'm just kind of listing some potential good game modes for these, and then we'll like link them together later. So basically, if it's like so like attack and destroy, or I guess it'd be search and destroy would be the correct term. So if we were to say this, the other things I'm thinking about is search and secure. So like kind of like hostages or a high value target. So like maybe we're trying to secure a general. Here would be, what's the other one? Search and recover. So recover intel, recover an artifact, recover anything. Now I know there's more. I'm just kind of listing some. I'm just kind of mind dumping right now. And then, man, what I really loved when it came out for Gears of War, and the first one, or was it the first one? No, I think it was like the second or third one. For their multiplayer was Horde mode. I think like that really popularized that that game mode. I don't think it became a genre, I would say. I think it had just become a game mode. But it was kind of dubbed Horde mode, right? It was like wave defense. If you've seen that in different games. I think like Gears of War must have been 2 or 3 where I feel it did it the best. And then other games started replicating that, right? So like if we're saying that attacking tank and manufacturing facility, we could be search, and maybe we want to secure it'd be like experimental tanks, or maybe we just want to destroy them would be a second objective. So like I'm thinking something like that. I'll just do one link and so like we'll have, and we could have lots of different objectives here that tie to the same game mode and stuff, and that will help kind of inform us as well too about, okay, if we have all these different objectives and stuff and we have one type of game mode, one, is that going to be too bland for the players? Do we need more variation in there? Do these variations need to have different templates to where we could have it attacking a tank manufacturing facility, but it could do any of these game modes that maybe it'll be up to player choice at that point, and that could be a good, maybe not selling point to the game, but it could keep things interesting, variable, whatever and stuff for the game, and that could be an aspect there to where we tie that into the AI as well too. I don't know, and stuff that like there's some interesting things that could happen there to keep it interesting for the player, but also within a template essentially, because every time we do something new and stuff or specific to a game mode or an objective, it costs more money, right? Because it's unique to that aspect. So if we can reuse modes, or reuse assets or reuse code or whatever and stuff, then it's kind of like copy paste. So it's a lot better use of development time if we can kind of find those wins. Not saying we want to do that for everything, but if we can find some easy wins for that, where we can kind of like make a template, kind of drop things in and have it work, but it's in its own different variation or context where it's different enough for the player where it's not so bland, then it's kind of like a cost benefit value, right? So or looking for those easy wins, but there's also other because then if we can do that, then we can spend more money, more time, more effort on things that actually need it, that we have to do, that are brand new, or like hero props or hero sets as well too, for like your finale or your punchline or whatever it may be, and stuff of where you're putting money into this game as well too. So okay, so I'm thinking about attacking a tank manufacturing facility. One could be, I think we saw this in Captain America, where we were trying to, they were trying to make the Messerschmitt 262s, the first jets, and also it was the 1K by 1K by 1K planes, I think, in the research facilities during World War II. So we could be like, hey, oh, I'm talking about modes, not objectives. And maybe we have this one be a search and destroy. And maybe instead of like just attacking, we do like infiltrate. Okay. Let me see. This doesn't have to be like by history. Some of these could be fictional that we get into as well too. So I'm thinking as well, but I know Germany had like an advanced case of U-boats that they were making as well too, submarines maybe, warships. So this could be an aspect here. Actually, there was an awesome mission for this, I think, in, what was it, Medal of Honor Frontlines? Way back when? Man, that was so long ago. Was that on Xbox? Or, let me see, Frontlines. There's Allied Assault on PC, Medal of Honor Frontlines. I was thinking that was Xbox. But, yeah, there was a mission there where you went to a U-boat facility, and that I remember that being a pretty fun mission. I remember it very vaguely though, so maybe this is a because there could even be an aspect here where we're trying to do this game mode. I was talking before as well too about like the Scarab and Halo Wars, and that was more of a, what would we call that? It's like, it was also kind of a search and destroy, but it was very unique as well too, where you also had to use the environment to your benefit. To otherwise you would die, right? But the Scarab, only the head could move. The body couldn't move until the last part of the fight, because they got it operational near the end of the fight. But by that time, you would have a larger army because it would be later in the game. So I was thinking kind of that with this as well too, but tank is usually a little bit different because you're usually working on the outside of it, but that could still be the case for this. The other thing that comes up in terms of nostalgia from back in my first PC days was a game called Tiger Hunt. I don't know if you know what that is, but man, I love that game. Oh, did they remake this? Was it really 2002? Yeah, it was Info. Yeah, this is it. I remember this. Look at those graphics. Ah! They didn't even shoot at you. Man, was it 2002? I feel like it was early. Anyway, that was a fun game. I can't really believe that that was that long ago. But I was also thinking it was a bit earlier. But yeah, Windows Millennium is, I think, the system that I played it on. So I guess that makes sense. But so I was just thinking about some stuff like that where like you take control of the tank, or Yeah, because also if I'm thinking about this for if we're tying it to Battlefield as well too, there was some missions they made for Battlefield 5. It was what was it, the stories, what'd they call them, the Battlefield stories, short stories. Anyway, they did like a 5-act episodic single player mission for Battlefield 5, and one of those was one of the best ones, but it was in the perspective of the Germans. And so you play as this tank commander captain, I think it was. Forget his name, but a small narrative arc, but it evoked the emotion that like these people are human as well too. They're following orders. They're doing what they thought was best for like their country as well too at the time. And but it was near the end of the war where they were being kind of taken over and kind of sick of all of the death and destruction and all that type of stuff as well too. So I bring that up because kind of not just one inspiration, but also too like could draw some stuff from that in terms of if we're attacking the tank manufacturing facility, is there an aspect here where maybe we play the opposite version of this as well too, as in a PvE where you're defending this as well too? And what would that look like? Do you as a player get to choose that? If it's a narrative driven arc, are there 2 arcs that we have, and that's maybe the selling point, where you can play from the German side of this and try and advance as much as possible? Or are you always the allies? Because that's usually what we play in games, is the ally side of things. So unlike the German side and Axis powers, essentially, that's usually, so whether it's Japanese, whether it's German, usually that's the biggest thing that we see. It's very few that you see playing Axis powers or anything like that to see how it went on their side, essentially. So I think, so I'm thinking going back here, if I'm attacking a tank manufacturing facility, this could also be a 2-part thing, to where it alerts German forces and they're trying to defend their technology. So the first part would be like search and secure, and then the second part would be like we have to defend a wave of attacks for this as well too. That could be fun. And maybe based upon like the difficulty that the player chooses as well too and stuff. Maybe we don't do the defense, or it's a very small version of that on like the easy version, and then the hard version, it's a more elaborate version of that, where it's like more levels and harder enemies to fight in terms of defense, and you really have to strategically think about how you would do that. Yeah. We'll okay. We'll do some stuff here in terms of thinking. I was just thinking about another idea here about can I put it up here? Base building. I think the other thing I was just thinking about right now was commander placed because I'm thinking like in horde mode or in something like that. Like if they're coming right away and stuff, like I would want to do some preparation for that. Like in any logical scenario and stuff, if this were real life, I'd like, you see that in Saving Private Ryan as well too, right? They don't have a lot of time, but like they're preparing the do-it-yourself bombs, right, with the TNT and stuff like that, using their socks and the axle grease and stuff like that. There's different things they could do for digging. I don't think they did that but depending on how much time they have to prepare for a horde mode type of thing, like there's different things that I would want to do to prepare as best as possible for enemies coming from this direction or that direction, or if I have these type of components, and maybe that's something that we give throughout the game for rewards or something like that, being like, hey, you have new towed artillery gun emplacements or mortar shells or mortar capabilities to call in at your disposal for requisition. Like, and that maybe that's something extra we can get, so when we're preparing for a horde mode, it's like, all right, call in the mortars, call in and like it doesn't have to be realistic, right? Like we could make this as unrealistic as possible, but the big thing here is it's a game, right? Where this isn't a simulation. At least that's not the vibe I want to give across this. I think I want it to be satisfy the fun in the game for this, and I think this is a way that it can create something not extra, but enhance the agency there for the player in terms of gameplay without being too realistic. So yeah. So yeah, just something I was thinking about here. I think I want to do a past ideas section and also a usually it's to be determined, but in this case it's to be discussed. So, which that could also be the same here as well too. But usually if I'm talking with stakeholders here as well too, in a leadership team or a team in general and stuff, it's about how does this fit into the vision? How does this fit into the goals of or the pillars that we're trying to really put forward for this game design here? If this doesn't fit into those core pillars, then we scrap it, or we change it to where it can, if we feel that it's important enough to attack this problem. And you may not see that in terms of game development, and that's okay, that's fine. It's a conscious decision where you have kind of crossed this path, you talked about it, but you, within the context of the moment or the pillars and the game design and the core loop, you felt that it didn't have its place. But what happens in live services a lot, right, is players are really asking for this thing that you had talked about before. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, players are really wanting it, and there's a lot of feedback that it should be in the game and stuff. Then you revisit that idea, right? And be like, okay, players are really asking for this, and it's a very big selling point slash quality of life slash expansion of the game. How can we then make this into the game where we're expanding on the core pillar, or adding a core pillar, or changing a core pillar as well too, to be able to include this feedback from players in the game, right? Now, if it's like a group of 2 people out of 1,000 people and stuff, you probably shouldn't look to implement that feature, even if they're the loudest 2 players, or the 2 that are spending the most money in the game. That's not really a good sense in terms of, yeah, we should spend all this money to develop this feature to put it in the game that only 2 people are asking for. So probably not a good use of time. But if it's more like, hey, out of the 1,000 players, there's like 600 players, and you're really not going to get that as well too either, because there's those people that just don't give feedback, or they don't talk, or they don't want to put in the effort, so they're just like, I'm just going to stop playing type of thing. There's lots of different aspects there of players where it's just like, well, they don't have this. I don't feel like speaking up, or this other game can solve my problem or satisfy my hunger as well too. Maybe until they get this thing in, or until they fix it or whatever and stuff, I'm just going to go over and play this game type of thing. So you have to kind of take that with a wide view, especially in a live service as well too, being like, okay, if 10 people are talking about this, how many people are not talking about this but want this change? Is it 100? Is it? And so you start to dive into that a bit more. Well, if we send out surveys to players, are we going to get the answer we're looking for? Are we going to get more of an engagement? If we do a live stream and we talk about this, are players going to talk about it more? Is it just going to be the same players? And so you really try and dive deep into different solutions on what we think. And we're not always right as developers, right? We try something, we don't know if it'll work. Different communities respond differently because of what type of game it is, because of the problem that it is we're trying to solve as well too. Or the context, like, is it around monetization? Is it around a specific feature that's core to the gameplay mechanics type of thing? Like, we try our best in terms of trying to find solutions so that we can make actionable plans and move forward and stuff. But we also want to try and validate those before we start, and we start dumping money into that as well too, as much as possible. So when we're reaching out to players, or we're reaching out to the community to get input on that, usually it's well intended to be able to solve the problem that players are bringing up, right? Whereas sometimes you see it's like, oh, okay, we hear you and stuff. We are working on a solution here and stuff, and then they bring out the solution, and it's either disconnected, or it doesn't really actually solve the problem that the players were bringing up in the beginning, right? So I've seen both scenarios and stuff, and so we're really trying to, when we do that, when we ask for comment, when we ask for feedback, when we ask for input as well too, we're really trying to get as many data points that we can as well too, different perspectives, so that we can best solve the problem that the players are trying to bring up. So and that's the blessing and curse of a live service as well too. You have the ability to change those, improve them, have a living and breathing community to where you can build the game with them, or it can cause more problems as well too. And especially if you're releasing new expansions, new content, whatever and stuff, like that meta changes or that feature may break in this next patch release and stuff too, and you try not to, but as these features and things are inherently tied to each other sometimes, and as that scope becomes larger and larger and stuff, it's just hard to keep track of all of that. So, which then it requires more teams and more time and more money and a whole slew of other problems to deal with at that point. So, and so that's why usually you see, if you don't have a good turnout at the beginning of a live service, usually companies just shut them down, because that's what they're in for. It's like, oh, well, there's two sides of it as well too. You see like No Man's Sky, you see, I don't know how Skull and Bones is doing right now, but you see No Man's Sky, you see Final Fantasy 14 remake, you see a couple others as well too, where they started out really bad and stuff like that too, but they put the time, to double down on effort to make it great and stuff, and they have shown that, and they've shown that through their will that they can make something great, and they did not hit their mark at their launch. But then you see other things, most companies, Anthem, and other things as well too, where they're like, no, we gave it a shot. We're going to do the sunk cost fallacy here and kind of cut our losses here, but we're just going to shut everything down at this point. Sony did this with Concord. There's been lots of other games for this as well too, but it's like, what's the other one? I guess Spectral Divide was a different one from Mountain Top. They just kind of ran out of funding. And so that was a little bit of a different scenario, but you see these games as well too, where they spend this time in development, they release and stuff, it doesn't hit the sales targets or the mark that they were looking, or the traction in the community for player engagement, and then they're just like, well, we're not going to put more effort into this, we're going to shut it down, type of thing, because it would take more time, more money to turn it around, and we don't know if that's even going to be good. And not just that, we need to deliver on other things as well too in the future, where we just don't think we can get ahead of that and stuff. And so usually when you're trying to convince executives or investors of that, it's just like, get my hands, forgive this type of thing. I just want to cut my losses at this point. So, and that's usually the business side of it. So usually the ones that you see that they know games, they know the risk, they know the impact, they have been through these failures before. They kind of know what they're in for, most part, and they're better at asking questions beforehand, because here's the thing I've learned being in leadership groups with different peers on leading game development projects has been, execution is not usually the problem. Now, there's things all the time where we're adjusting, where it's like, hey, we have a resourcing problem, we don't have enough people for engineering, we have all this scope, we need to cut scope, are we going to sacrifice quality? No, we can't do that and stuff. Okay, so what else has to change? Can we get more money for this? Like, execution usually is not a problem and stuff. You have dates you can change. Usually there's a flux of money where it's like, okay, let's filter it into this, or let's cut scope, or what. There's lots of different levers that you can pull for that type of thing. What I actually often find is the problem in leadership groups is leaders, executives, the ones that have either no knowledge of the situation because they haven't shipped a game before, or leaders that are just bad as well too, where they don't want to have those conversations, and then it causes more problems later. And that's the biggest thing I see in game leadership, where it's like, no, you have to have, I'm bringing this up because it may not be a large problem now, but it's going to be detrimental to the project later if we do not talk about this. And that's usually some of the bigger things that I see, especially in startups, especially like in concept phase. Like, you really have to be real with who are our players? What are we aiming for? I remember I was working on, what was it? It was the Eve extraction shooter we were working on. And I was like, what is our player base? Who are we trying to aim for? Are we trying to take Escape from Tarkov players? Because that's also an extraction shooter. Are we trying to be tactical like that? Or are we trying to be more arcadey in the Eve universe type of thing? Like, and it's like, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out later. It's like, no, that's kind of a core part of what I need to know right now and how we're going to make decisions for our feature set and what we're thinking about in terms of our vision and our goals for that vision as well too, so that I can understand what we need to scope, so that I can then prioritize for the team what it is we need to, what we need to work on for our concept gate and our vertical slice as well too. Because if you're saying, no, it's totally different and we're going to go for these other things, well, then we should not have talked about some of these different features we're talking about in terms of night or tactics, or, oh my man, the big one during that game during development was, are we first person or are we third person extraction shooter? I can't tell you how many times it flip-flopped between the other. Like, I feel like we had made a decision as a leadership team and a gameplay team, and then the next day it would be like, nope, we're doing third person. It's like, guys, we had this conversation. And I think that's the other thing as well too, especially as a producer. And on that project I became a product owner as well too. So if I'm a product owner as well too as a producer, which is not uncommon for producers at some studios. Like at EA, producers are also product owners as well too. Because their development managers are more like the traditional project managers, where they're helping the teams execute, plan, and whatever and stuff. Producers at EA are more product owners, and that's what it was at CCP as well too. So at CCP, when I became more of a product owner, it was more like, I don't know what we're doing, so that I can keep the leadership team accountable when they try and make decisions that go against the vision. And I can't tell that to the team because the leadership team doesn't know what that vision is as well too, and what their cohort of players is as well too, in order to keep everyone aligned from top to bottom across the project and across the team as well too, to make sure that I can hold people accountable up the chain as well as across the team as well too. Be like, hey, like, design team, you're designing this thing that does not fall in the vision. Where is this coming from in terms of a design? And it's like, oh, is this cool? Oh, we felt this was cool and we wanted to take a stab at it. And I'm like, no, it's not in the vision. Why are we spending time on this type of thing? And so, like, once we get clear about those things and real about what this game is that we're making and why, and what the vision is, and these are the core pillars of the game, that all starts to kind of fall into place then on all these things we're talking about. And that's why we're doing these exercises and talking about them, because then things start to become real and not just a, oh, he said, she said, or a hearsay, or hey, we think this would be cool type of thing. Let's try this and stuff. And it's like, you could do that for forever, because there's just so many ideas. Everyone has an idea and stuff, but the idea there is to channel it and filter it and have these core ideas and stuff synergize with each other to then make a game that y'all want to make, is fun, is based upon something that I don't know, players in the community are looking for or is missing in the market as well too right now, or it could be the next big thing as well too. And that's a whole other topic as well too. But then it starts to become a real thing, and you're moving towards objectives and goals, and your decisions become based upon that rather than just some nether realm of thing that makes no sense, or hey, we're doing this, we're doing that, and it becomes a half-baked thing that you see in some games that get released where it's like, yeah, they didn't think through this, or this doesn't make sense, why did they do it that way type of thing. And it's probably because that it was either tacked on or bolted on at the end, or it was an afterthought where it wasn't a core part of the game. And and so that's why you see that sometimes. Like, there's many different other reasons for that, but in my experience in terms of concept development and stuff, that's really where it comes down to. So the more you can have clarity at the beginning, the better, the more time you'll have to bake those ideas as well too. But you also become very clear about what this game is, what it's not, where we should focus our time and effort, and where we should not as well too. And then you continue to move forward as a team through the game development framework and the software development cycle as well too. Because ideally you want to ship this game, right? Often too many, like we even see this with the Microsoft layoffs that happen and the announcements from yesterday, the day before as well too, was like Project Blackbird at ZeniMax got canceled, and they were developing that for a while. Well, I think even the one with Rare as well too, they said they were developing that game for 7 years. 10 years? Was it 7 or 10 years? And they had shown some trailers about it and stuff, but that game will never see the light of day right now, as far as we know it. And for me, it's like, man, 10 years? Overwatch was like 7 years in development. Anthem was 7 years in development. And Anthem was half-baked as well, too. Like, we didn't have the time we need to do the final version of it. But before I got on board, like, it was 5.5 years in development, and it had restarted a few times. The vision had changed a lot. I'm sure the first version of Anthem and stuff was very different from what we shipped with, right? And there's lots of different reasons for that. Is because, hey, what we had before wasn't working well. We wanted to change what we were doing. People leaving the studio and stuff too, and sometimes the vision dies along with that. And it's like, all right, let's restart. Even with Riot's MMO they were working on, I think when Ghost left as well too, they're like, yeah, it wasn't really what we were aiming for and stuff, so we just rebooted the MMO and stuff. And it's like, oh, okay. And so, like, yeah, when core leadership leaves a studio and stuff, and they were helming the vision of that, it's very hard to continue that vision when they were the primary stakeholder or creator of that vision as well too and stuff. And so it becomes an opportunity for the studio to be like, okay, do we restart this? Do we continue with that vision? if it's something we wanted and we think is successful and we're moving forward with and stuff. So there's lots of different decisions that come to fruition with that, and that becomes even harder when these development cycles are longer because of that as well too. So like Project Blackbird as well too, where they were working on that MMO for a while, and it seemed like they were in a good spot and it was fun, and they were progressing pretty well on it. But if they've been working on it for multiple years, that also means that that leadership team, I think, was there from the beginning as well too. And basically they had a different problem where they just got cut off at the heels before they were able to show their success, right? I haven't heard of anything from that project, from what we know publicly, or that has been publicly reported, where there was troubled development on that project. Everything I've heard from that was, hey, the executives really liked it. It was fun. They were progressing very well. They felt it would be a very big project as well too, and a very successful project. And then Microsoft just kind of shot their kneecaps out essentially before they were able to kind of show it off to the world and release it. So, which is a bummer. I'm not going to get into the whole Microsoft stuff. I know I just brought it up here in terms of talking about something else, but I have my own opinions about the whole Microsoft layoffs that just happened as well too. So anyway, back to what we were talking about here. We were talking about objectives and game modes for that as well too. So let's go back down here. I think I don't know if I'm ready to talk about this. I'm just going to talk about it because it's kind of part of this as well too, especially if we're going the narrative direction here too. I don't know how much I want to do about this, but I know I want to, and I think it'll be a bit controversial as well too. Let's do the less controversial one right now. So in World War One, there was like mustard gas and stuff being developed by Germany and stuff like that to try and change the tide of battle and stuff. We even see this in Wonder Woman, right? Because that was World War One, right? And so like you saw the chemist, I forget her name, but you saw her trying to do like experimental like chemtech, essentially like chemical warfare type of thing. So this could be like this could be a I don't know how to spell. Secure. Chemist lab. Didn't we do something like this in Halo? Halo Infinite? No. I know in Star Wars they have this for like the cloning facilities and stuff like all the time. But so basically we're wanting to secure the chemist lab. We want to secure the intelligence. So here this could be like, ooh, maybe we find something there. Maybe we're trying to then recover at that point. And so there's like a dual objective or a secondary objective. Okay, here's the more controversial. So like here it's like, oh my God, we see this thing that could be very detrimental to our forces. Panic alert. Alert the Pentagon, alert everyone about this and stuff, and because this could be devastating on a catastrophic event. Here's the other one here as well too, was I don't know, maybe there's like beacons or signals or something coming from a certain area, and we see that it's like, we don't know what it is, but maybe it's like a concentration camp. But like, we wouldn't know at this point if we're playing in the game what. So like, this would be like the reveal in Band of Brothers when they find the concentration camps type of thing. Maybe we would do something like that here. And yeah, a bit more controversial, right, and stuff, but that would be like the narrative kind of drive to this game, of people being able to see that in a game. Like, you see it in Band of Brothers, you see it in a show, and now you're seeing it like in a game. Do other games do this as well too? I don't think we see any concentration camps in any other games. Or maybe we can't. There could be some legal stuff with that as well too. So yeah, we would really have to like do our research, investigate it, if that's something that we would want to do and stuff. But I think that could be especially the story, if we convey it right and we show it, could be something really impactful. And not just that, I think like it would be a learning for people as well too. Like, if they haven't seen Band of Brothers or something like that, this could be another avenue to where people learn about how bad it was, or hey, this was real type of thing, and stuff like that. So so we would just have to be very cautious about either, one, what we show, or two, if we're really trying to portray this as a real event and stuff, that we give that context beforehand, or hey, or if it's something that's drastic and there's like chemicals in there or whatever, and that never happened and stuff, that we're very clear that, hey, some of this stuff is fictional or whatever and stuff. This is not based on real life events or something like that. So so we would just have to be very clear with the audience about some of those things. So, but I think that's something that we could do in terms of, if we're during World War II and the end of World War II, that's when the Allies started discovering some of these things. So what do we want to do? So yeah, something like that. Because if you know, for like, if you've seen Schindler's List or other documentaries as well too on World War II, you'll see that a lot of the camps were based around trains and train stations as well too, because that's how they transported a lot of the Jews, the prisoners, the people in the concentration camps, was next to train stations, railways and stuff like that, because that was like a main mode of transportation for materials and people and stuff like that. So as well as, like, I think ammunition depots as well too, and maybe even factories as well too, because that was a good method of transportation as well too. So I say secure POI along the train routes. Like, could be camps, could be other things as well too, if we don't talk about the camps as well either, or if we don't cover it in this game. But that could be an aspect there where if we don't do the camps, we do like a munition depot or something like that as well too. So okay, so I think that's good for now. Now we do the next phase of this as well too. Like usually in a group of leadership, we would talk about usually when let me just preface this at the beginning here. Usually it's not the producer coming up with these objectives and stuff. Usually this is something for the design lead, the level designers, the world artists as well too, the creative director, and some of other like design and creative leads as well too. If your like studio director or game director is also like the design lead or the game director as well too, or something like that, like they would probably be in on this conversation because they'd have some opinions or things that they want to see in terms of direction here as well too. And so usually what I'm trying to say here is like usually the producer might own this going forward, and they would help get the team to and leadership to come to decisions on this. But usually it would be an exercise between leadership group, creative group, design group, which is also creative in some aspects as well too. But it would be them coming up with ideas on how this fits into the vision so that they can kind of collaborate together, right? And come up with some of the best things here that we would want to attack first. That, hey, these are the core gameplay mechanics. Here's the core game loop. Does it fit into those things? Yes. Okay, then how are we going to, or does it fall into the vision as well too, and the thematic wrapper and what we're trying to do for World War II and late World War II? If all those things are yes, then okay, these are things that we think we can make first and are fun and things that we would like to explore, and then we go from this, right? And so they would come up with kind of this brainstorm and list, and they may do some different exercises as well too. But this is one that I would maybe come to in terms of how are you guys coming up with where's your brainstorm list? What have you guys thought through and stuff? And if they be like, meh, we just kind of like talked about it in a meeting and it became a thing, right? It's like, no, like guys, you need to document what you've talked about, what is off the table, what you've talked about, and things maybe you would consider later, but didn't really fall into the vision right now, or it didn't really make sense in terms of what we're trying to create as well too. And here are the things that we want to attack first. And like for me, especially if I'm a product owner on this one, I'd probably want to at least be a part of that conversation. But two, even if I'm not as well too, and if I'm just trying to help them plan this as an aspect, being like, hey, here's what we want to do and here's what we're going to attack first and stuff, I'll be like, okay, then we plan that out and stuff. But for me, if I'm driving a lot of these conversations, I also need to have context as well too. And not just that, but then the team also needs to have context as well too, because especially if this is going to be like a live service game as well too, then it needs to have aspects and documentation to where we can always draw back to. That's one of the biggest things I see there's two biggest problems I see in live services. One is lack of documentation, and documentation that withers, dies fast, because like those need to be living and breathing documents. Like you're a live service that's changing, those documents need to update and change as well too. And if we're moving so fast on a live service, what usually falls off first? documentation. Becomes a big problem when if that person leaves and they're one of the only people that knows about the system, the code, the whatever thing it was. And so it's like then we scramble at the end trying to get all of their time when they're trying to offboard, and sometimes checked out as well too, to try and get them to document these things. How do you do this? How do you transfer knowledge? Type of thing. And by then it's too late at that point. The second thing that happens in a live service that's a problem as well too is cutting retrospectives as well too. There's a couple things here in terms of retrospectives where I'm gonna try and use my Wacom tablet for this. I don't think I've used my Wacom tablet yet. Give me one sec. Hope it's working here. Oops. No. Plug it in, I guess. Aha. Come on. Yes, I know. Thank you, Windows Explorer. Okay. Well, that's not working right now, but and we didn't want Notepad, we want Paint. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. All right. So the other thing here as well too is, is this gonna work? I had it working the other day. Don't know. Oh, okay, I'll have to figure that out. So I'm gonna do this as good as I can, but I'm not. I'm not a right-handed person. Only with my mouse I am. Retro. So I'm not going to write it out because, man, it's hard. But in terms of retrospectives, retro, that actually looks like an H now that I'm seeing it here. Retro. Man, that's so bad. So when we talk about retrospectives, though, basically, in a live service, if you're not doing retrospectives, even in game development in general, I think this is also one of the first things that gets cut when we're running out of time or we're panicking or whatever it may be. But I really want to get this working. This is really frustrating. Anyway, one of the first things that gets cut in game development or live service or as part of the agile process, which it should not be, it should actually be the last one that gets cut, is retrospectives. If you are not doing retrospectives as a team, for sprint, for on a weekly basis at least, how do you course correct during the project? Because like we're all human, right? We're trying to do the best that we can do, but things deviate or priorities change or we're moving fast or things come up, and so like there's always things we can do better. If we're not stopping to think about and retrospect on that to then consciously say, hey, that wasn't good, or we should have handled this differently. If you're not doing that as a group, how are you going to get better as a team? And you may be able to do some things on an individual basis, but there really needs to be a team synergy here in terms of retrospecting. And not just that, if it didn't affect different people on the team, this can still highlight of, hey, here's why something happened on the team over here, even if it maybe doesn't impact you. And then they can be like, oh, that's why the person I was supposed to work with was not available at the time because they were dealing with this fire over here, type of thing, right? It provides some insight, some understanding from people on the team, even if they weren't directly impacted from that as well too. So even though these are expensive, right? Because ideally you do this with an entire pod team, cross-functional team, whatever and stuff. You want to do this fairly consistently as well too, because even though it's a time sink and a cost to the team, it's going to save your project money in the long run. So do the retrospectives. They will allow you to actually sit down, think, and synergize as a team. And not just that, the biggest thing there is to the other thing as well too is you can't frame this as a leader. You can't frame this as where did we fail or why do we suck? Why, like, who are we blaming type of that? No, that's not what this is. If we fail as a team. The idea of these is to understand that, hey, maybe it didn't go right, maybe it wasn't good or whatever. That's on me as a leader, right? How do we as a team continue to do better? If your leadership team is always blaming someone in these retrospectives, or the team is too shy to talk because the leadership team is there, something needs to change. Like, either they're scared of retaliation, they're scared of being called out in front of the team and whatever and stuff. And sometimes that if there's very alpha people on the team in terms of leadership that want to be in the retrospective, and I see that, especially if I'm coming into a new team and seeing that behavior, as well too, I will literally ask the leaders do not attend that meeting, or I'll be like, hey, I'm gonna disinvite you from this meeting, and here's why, type of thing. Like, people need to. It's not just about feeling safe. It's about knowing that they're valued, their feedback is valued, and they're not going to be ridiculed or shunned or whatever for sharing that feedback. And me wanting to, one, help every individual on the team feel like their input is valued, and being able to show that I'm actioning that as well too. But also, and having them feel that at an individual level, but also too being able to impact that on a team level, because I want people to enjoy coming into work. I want to know that their feedback and their work is valued, and that it is part of a bigger thing on this project as well too. And that the team is impactful to this project, whether that be a small feature team or a cross-functional team or a pod on the larger team of the project. Or if we're talking about team, like the team is the project as well too. They need to be able to function at the highest level, and they need to be able to force multiply that. And this is one of the ways where I can do that as a leader. And what are the downsides if they're not getting this as well too? They're not gonna want to show up. They're not gonna want to show up at their best. They're not gonna want to do their best work. They're gonna start looking for other jobs as well too, and then we lose that talent, right? And so, like, there needs to be an environment there to where if other leaders are not providing that and stuff, then if I am leading this team and I'm coming in as the producer, I need to be able to affect that. And I find in the past where if that's affecting me, like I can put up with some BS, right? Or I have influence as well too. But if the thing where I suffer the most mentally is if I'm being treated like I'm a child, if I'm being treated even if it's like, if it's cordial and if it's like not intentional and stuff, like, okay, I get that and stuff, like I can work with that. But if it's like I'm intentionally hurting you or putting you down or trying to make you look like a douchebag in front of everyone else, or not even a douchebag, it's more like I'm attacking you out of spite, or I don't like you as a person or how you do things as a producer and stuff. So like I'm attacking you, or I'm attacking you like publicly in front of the team as well too. Like mentally, I just cannot deal with people like that. And so like I would rather save my mental. There's two aspects to this. One is I'm all about diffusing conflict, conflict resolution, diffusing situations, because I've had to deal with that with other leaders on teams as well too, or other team members as well too. Like, hey, I understand you're frustrated. Like, hey, what is the problem? How can I help? Like, do you just need someone to talk to? Why is this causing a problem and stuff? And how do we resolve this going forward? Like, I want people to have to show their frustrations. Like on the last project I had, like there was an engineer who kind of blew up in sprint planning one time and stuff, because I was like, hey, why is this not getting done? Why is that not getting done? And finally he just blew up and was like, hey, they're not doing their work. I had to take it on, even though I'm not dedicated to this project, and they are. I can't deal with the stress anymore and stuff. And it's like, oh, why were we not informed? Does your manager doesn't know about this, right? Why are we just knowing about this now and stuff? So it's like, all right, how do we solve this? What needs to change and stuff? So we had a different side conversation. I think I finished sprint planning, but I had a different side conversation to make sure that we resolved the underlying issue. And so people need to be able to bring up these situations, and I need to be able to dissolve them, or not dissolve them, to diffuse the situation, or be able to provide solutions to that problem as well too. And I'm very analytical. I try to be very pragmatic, logical in terms of solving those as well too. And I usually come back to like, hey, how does this serve the project? Does this get what you need as an individual? How does this solve the business objectives as well too and stuff? And if it's not and stuff, like, how do we change it so that it can? Or how do we get to where you need to start to realize these things? Or how can I help solve these problems for you so that we can get to a point to where you're not feeling like you are right now, whether it's angry or frustrated or whatever and stuff, because I don't want you to be in that headspace, because it's preventing you from doing your work. And I think the most toxic people as well too, I've seen, even if it's not their fault and stuff, like it can affect the team morale as well too. Especially people that are very infectious is the negative word, but contagious or influential as well too. Like they're looked up to on the team, and then they're in this funk type of thing that spreads very fast across the team. Like positiveness spreads fast as well too, and people who can kind of project that as well too, but negativeness also, or that negative funk as well too, of how I describe it, can also spread just as fast as well too. So how, as a leader, how do I change that? How do I resolve that? How do I find solutions to that so that we get rid of that funk? Because that can be very demoralizing as a team as well too. So yeah, retrospectives, do them, because there's a reason why you do them. Now, if it's happening too often or not happening enough or whatever and stuff, like, you can talk about that. Like, just give that feedback to your leadership team or whatever, and they should action that as well too. It's super important to do just as much as sprint planning and stuff like that to be able to do retrospectives. So I do regret on our last project that we did not make time for retrospectives, and it cost us in the long run. Maybe that's one reason why our project got canceled. I don't think it was because of that, but it definitely needed to be there. We made a lot of mistakes by not doing retrospectives in the project, and it's just because that we were forced to move so fast, not at the will of our own either, and because of all the culmination of those things and stuff, it really cost us in the long run. So, and things would have had to have changed, and I would have pushed for that change as well too, to have retrospectives, to be able to set our own dates, to be able to do some planning even and stuff, to know what our dates might be before they're actually just a date given to us that we need to meet, not knowing that we could hit that date. And that was the overall problem on that on our last project as well too, was we didn't have control over those things and that destiny, and it really burnt out the team because of that. So we were burnt out before we even got to launch. We were burnt out before we got to beta. It was just not, it was I learned a lot and stuff, and I learned even a lot of new tech as well too in terms of Web3. But man, I even burnt out as well too, and I wasn't there that long. I wasn't even there a year on that project. And actually, I kind of want to talk about that right now since I brought it up. I've worked in games 13 years. It was 13 years last month. So I think I started around June 2012. 2012, I think it was, in games. And I feel like I've worked 2 or 3 lifetimes in games with how much overtime I've done. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, some of that at the beginning was because I was wanting to learn. Like on Tomb Raider, at Crystal, there was no option. We were expected to work overtime. We were sometimes doing, I think my longest shift was 21 hours, a continuous shift. And that was when we were making our Gold Master to get to Microsoft and Sony, I think, like that, for our final version submit to be able to launch on those platforms. So but yeah, we were sometimes working 90, 100 hours a week to get Tomb Raider out on time. Now at Blizzard, it was more for survivability because, believe it or not, Blizzard was a big company, but they didn't pay a lot for QA living in Irvine, California. And so I took all the overtime I could, 1, not just to learn, but 2, because I needed it for survivability as well too. I literally was not, if I did not have overtime, I was not able to pay rent. And sometimes I fell short on rent as well too, in some bills. And I had to make adjustments as well too. And that kind of sucks because I loved my job. I loved working at Blizzard. I loved the teams I worked with as well too, but it just did not pay enough to survive off of my base salary. So, and so that was survivability. Riot was very different because I actually burnt out from there because at Blizzard, I was still very early on in my career as well to keep this in mind, but I was hired as a senior analyst and I worked my way through QA lead as well too in quality assurance department. And by this time I already knew, because I had done a temporary assignment at Blizzard for a production assistant, and I had done some production work and live operations on Battle.net. At this point, I already knew I wanted to be a producer. So, and I came in telling them at Riot, to the recruiting team, to the recruiter, to the hiring manager as well too, that I knew I wanted to be a producer. And so they knew that going in, and they hired me anyway. So knowing that, and so I came in as a senior analyst at Riot, but at Riot things are fairly undefined, especially in the role that I was in as well too. It's like, hey, it needs to be done, do it type of thing. We're not going to stop you. And so I actually at Riot did not know how to say no. That was my problem. I was already a workaholic. That's just one of the traits I have and stuff too. I didn't know how to say no, and I wanted to please everyone. And I felt like I was still early on in my career and I had to prove myself as well too. Well, I burnt out. And I really burnt out. And so things happened as well too. Maybe I'll get into that later and stuff too. But then that's where I was like, I'm not going to work like this anymore and stuff. And then I landed on Anthem. And so that's actually when I moved to Texas. That's when I moved to BioWare in Austin. And that's when I landed at on Anthem. And I did not know. There were some red flags during the interview process, and I ignored those red flags because of like I need to find a job. I was let go from Riot, not at my own will, under circumstances, and so I need to find a job because I didn't expect that essentially, and so I was looking for work, and so I was like, well, let me take this and stuff. Like, the project sounds exciting. They're not telling me where they're at in development, and okay, that's kind of scary. I had signed an NDA, and I was asking all these questions and stuff, and I was getting very vague answers. And I was like, okay, well, that's kind of weird and stuff. Like, why aren't they telling me these things? So little did I know that things were not going very well on Anthem with where they were at and how much time they had left to deliver as well too. So we worked a lot of overtime on Anthem. I worked 15 months of overtime, and I know a lot of people on the team did as well too. They worked a lot of overtime as well too. So I remember it was me and one of my other development. I think he started out as a development director. I won't mention his name, but I just remember him and me there on Saturdays, seeing him there doing work and stuff because there was just so much to do. And I was there on Saturdays as well too, doing work because there was so much I had to do as well too. And because I had what was called the game superhero pillar for Anthem. It was like gameplay, and I had the gameplay audio and UI and VFX and everything that came with the exosuits, the javelins essentially, the weapon play, the gear on the suits, and how those kind of all mesh in combat with the squad as well too, and all the different types of suit archetypes as well too. So and part of that also was the controls as well too. So there was a lot of stuff under my purview where there was just a lot of stuff to keep up on. And so, yeah, I was working 90, 80 hours a week. I think when I first started out was maybe 70 hours a week on Anthem. But man, that burnt me out as well too on that project, and that actually contributed to the cost of my marriage as well too, because I didn't know this at the time, but I was like, I didn't have time to process my last layoff, and I was just kind of like hustle, go. Like, I wasn't retrospecting for myself as well either. I wasn't like stopping talking with my wife at the time, my spouse, and like I was just letting that eat at me, and it had been eating at me for a long time in terms of my feelings, the problems that actually overworking myself was causing as well too, and I was using work as a means to suppress feelings, suppress depression, suppress anxiety, because I knew, and I was the type of person where I let the job title define me as well too. I let my work define me as well too. I was very passionate about what I did, and I still am in the game industry as well too. But it's different now. I don't let it define me. Or I try not to let it define me. I think I had a lot of problems with that in this last layoff that happened, because I was still tied to my, like, I know I'm really good as a producer, and And that's not to say that I'm not willing to learn new things. Like, I know there's lots of stuff I could do better, and I love to learn from other producers, other team members, and how to solve problems differently as well too. But I also know that I've built up a great knowledge tool set, how to do things, how to adapt as well too. And like for the longest, I let that define me as well too. And that's kind of what affected my marriage as well too, my spouse. So whereas now it's kind of less so and stuff, but I'm still a workaholic. I don't think that'll ever change, unfortunately. I do know what triggers me now, and I've gone through some therapy to help kind of me understand when I need to slow down, when I need to pause what triggers me in terms of too much work, and when I need to like take some time for myself, or as some people call it, a mental health day as well too, or hey, I just need to log off of work early tonight and stuff because it's really getting to me, or something like that. So I know when I need to take that time for myself to like recompose myself and whatever, so I don't burn out, so I don't get to a point to where I break as well either. So there's definitely, that's probably the area I still need to improve the most. But I know I've come a long way as well too from where I was at before with that. So let me see. After Anthem, where was I after Anthem? Oh, I went to China. That was kind of a big thing. I got an offer from NetEase to move to China before the pandemic. That was a good experience. Would I do it again? Maybe not. I liked the change of things and experiencing something new in my life because I was a bachelor and I was able to do that type of thing, for better or for worse. But I was like, hey, like, if I'm going to do it, now is the time. Like, I don't want to look back on my life and regret not trying this when the opportunity presented itself. So, but it didn't work out, and that's okay. I learned a lot of stuff. I learned some things about myself. I learned some things that I don't want to do as well either. It was also just a really big culture shock as well for me too, over in China. So, but I think if I were to do that, something like that again and stuff, I know more of the questions I would ask. I know more of what I would not be okay with and what I would want and stuff for me to set myself up for better success if I were to move internationally again for a company. So so that was pretty cool. I came back 3 days before the pandemic, before the borders closed. So I got back just in time. That's when everyone was traveling in China for Chinese New Year. So everyone was kind of dispersing and spreading COVID on the trains and stuff like that. I got on an international flight to go back home to visit family for Chinese New Year while everyone was off, and I just never went back. I was still working remotely, talking with my team at NetEase and stuff like that, but ultimately, because it wasn't a fit for me, and the project I was working on wasn't really a fit as well either, I just decided not to go back. So, and also I knew where the pandemic was going as well too. Like it had just hit America at that point and stuff, and I knew it was a long haul in America for because of that as well too. So I was like, I'm just not going to go back. So, and from there, like I had a couple like QA positions, and then that's when I really. So in China, I was hired to be like a QA project lead. And then it became something different while I was there because of the work that I was doing. In the short amount of time I was there, I think I was there for like 6 months, and I was in Scotland for a month of that as well too, working with one of their developers. But I think that, yeah, and then when I came back, like that's when I worked at CCP and at Microsoft on Halo Infinite as well too. But that is when like I started building up my momentum and aspect, and Halo Infinite was some overtime. CCP not so much, because we were early in development at that point. Things were a lot more chill. There were still some overtime because we needed to get ready for some gates to and some builds right to like pitch to leadership and show them our progress and stuff like that as well too, so that they could know that, hey, we're excelling, here's where our vertical slice is at, and stuff like that. So there was a bit of overtime, but definitely not like Anthem. Halo Infinite, we were trying to ship at that point, and become a live service. And so there was lots of growing pains, changing pains. That team was also very large on Halo Infinite as well too. I think we were close to like 800 on that project, which may not sound big if you work in big tech or IT or something like that, but for a game project, that's very large. And so, like most of the average teams, I think, are 100, 150 for AAA. Maybe a bit larger. I think we're close to 500 for Anthem. By the time we shipped. But yeah, most other projects are not that big for the core team. There's definitely other functions, especially at larger companies that have like central platforms or serve multiple products and multiple games, like Blizzard and stuff. Like they have central teams that for like marketing and community, and Battle.net for platform and stuff like that, where they serve and they work with every game team on things that they need to solve for the things that they're trying to do for their players. And I would still include them as part of the game team, the core game team as well too, even though they're set up as a service team type of thing. But that's why games balloon to be so big as well too, is because you literally can't launch a game if you don't have those other functions, you don't have those other central teams as a part of your project. It's not just the core. Like, sure, you don't have a game if you don't have the core game team, like building the mechanics and implementing everything and whatever and stuff, but also you can't get your game to ship as well either if you don't have those other functions. So it's a we need you as much as you need us type of thing. So let me see, after Halo Infinite was Mythical. That one was manageable in terms of time. There was some overtime, but it wasn't that big of a deal. Sorry about that. That was my alarm to know that I need to get up to get ready for work. And then Mythical, worked at Max, went back to EA for a bit as well too. there I was kind of, I wouldn't say hell-bent, but I was trying to be more cautious about work-life balance and understand what that meant for me. And ultimately, I leaned too heavy on the balance part and not the work part, and it actually hurt my relationship with my manager at that point. But for me also, I wasn't as engaged as I wanted to be with the project as well either. For Sims, like, it's been a long time since I've been a Sims player, and there's just so much like domain knowledge with that project. It would have taken me a lot more time to ramp up on that and get back into everything. I was more of actually like a SimCity player. Even I wasn't really a Sims player. I was more of a SimCity player. And so, like, because I wasn't as engaged with the project, I could still lead functions and corral people and features and stuff like that too, but I wasn't engaged as I would have liked to have been. And then the whole me kind of dying on the hill with the work-life balance thing, just to be honest, I did that wrong. That was my fault. And so now going in, I've actually learned that I shouldn't worry about that. Because like before as well too, like on these past projects, like it was like I felt I needed to work endless amount of hours in order to be successful type of thing. And now it's more like I become much more understanding of my time as well too, and be like, okay, if I have 8 hours in a day, what are the most impactful things that I need to do in this 8 hours and stuff to one, have as much impact as possible, but also, are these the most important things that I can do right now that are most impactful? And what are these things, so that I can, one, try and be less reactive and more proactive, and two, help change the mindset of leadership and the team in order to try and become more proactive as well too, so that we become less reactive. And then it can help us understand that we're not having to burn the candle at both ends. We're not having to burn ourselves out. And ultimately, that's what we were doing on my last project, unfortunately, at Game 7. Through no fault of our own, we were given deadlines, and we were like, where are these deadlines come from? Oh, they're coming from the CEO. Well, why does he or she think that we can hit those deadlines when we don't even know what the features are? We don't even know what the game is supposed to be. We don't know what the requirements are. Oh, well, either how are they setting this deadline for us? And it's not like, oh, it's 4 years from now. No, it's in 6 months. And even 6 months may seem long, but for what we were working on for the scope of game, and what we had to build from scratch, that was not a lot of time at all. So not even at MVP for what we need to do, because it was also new tech we were building as well too that had never been done before in this aspect. So there were a lot of unknowns. There was a lot of questions that we needed to de-risk and find answers for that no one knew on the team, because there are some things that this team had never done, but also no one in games had done in general as well either. Now, there are some aspects in terms of Web3 where it's like, yeah, like other companies, other teams, other projects have done some of these things and stuff, and we're trying to take some of those best practices into use, but doing it from a Web2 game to Web3, and how does this work? And sure, there are some like architecture things we could do in terms of either one, best practices or ways to solve some of those things, but with what we were doing, I don't think it ever been done before at the scope that it was being done with such a small team as well either. And so that's what caused a lot of the overwork and overtime as well too because of that. So but for me, and so when I was at Maxis, essentially it was I indexed too heavy on the balance part because I was scared that I was going to fall into like, maybe not depression again, but I was going to just become so consumed in my work that I forget about everything else, right? And that wasn't the case because I had learned that from past experiences before. Like at Mythical, I managed that pretty well. And then I kind of over-indexed the other way. Not that I would have that choice and stuff, right? But it was the other way where we were just working so much at Game 7, trying to get that game out the door. And we got it to open beta, but we were never actually able to launch. Our project got canceled before then. So yeah, that's kind of my journey. Kind of, I think like at the beginning I was talking about, I feel like I've worked multiple lifetimes in games because of that, but I've really only been working as a producer in games for the last 6-7 years. I think maybe 7 or 8 years combined I've worked as a production assistant and producer. But like the over 13 years that I have now has been in QA and in production. So yeah, it's been a long road. It feels like it's been a lot longer because of the overtime. I want to say that we're getting better as an industry, but I also think that's some of our fallacies as well too, with burnout, with projects not succeeding, with turmoil, with turnover as well too, at companies on projects as well too, is burnout and stuff, and we need to do better. I'm not saying no overtime, like firm stand against it and stuff, but we can't be burning the candle at both ends just to ship a project or whatever. And I think it goes, but I don't think I've said this at all yet and stuff, but I've said this to other people and peers and stuff like that. Like, we can't keep going back to this mentality of throw more bodies at it or work overtime to hit this deadline type of thing. Like, there's got to be a better way, and there is a better way. Like, other studios have proved it. And every project I've been on, just be like, just do it for us and stuff. Like, this is a one-off. This is like out of the ordinary thing is, and after a while it became, no, this is not the ordinary. This has pretty much been my entire career. And I know it's not normal, but y'all are saying it's normal just for your project. But then the next project asks for overtime, and the next project asks for overtime, and the next project. And it's like, no, it's just the same BS. we need to do better. And so anytime I'm trying to lead a team and I have the power to influence that, I do as much as I can. So I don't always win in that instance, but I need to try and do that in order to protect the team as well too, and because it's not just for my sanity, it's for theirs as well too. So, but I think that's it for today. We're gonna get more, I think, into the next set here, because if we have this here in terms of kind of our MVP objectives here, maybe we'll define a little bit more of the narrative of what we want the high level points to be. I'm also not a narrative designer as well either, so I would have to have like a subject matter expert come in and be like, what is the start and what is the end, and what are some high points in the middle in terms of like things that will keep the player engaged in terms of the narrative for this and stuff. And based on some of that here, that's also where I would want some of these to come in and be like, hey, this doesn't make sense in terms of an objective, or this doesn't fit into the narrative as well either and stuff. And so we would probably cut or add in some different ones in terms of objectives or game modes for this, if it didn't fit into the narrative as well either, since that's, I think, what's going to be driving this going forward. But just to show you all and stuff about how we kind of go about figuring that out, we did this exercise. So next time we'll see how this kind of ties into monetization. I think before we talked about the monetization being a live part of a live service thing, like skins and different commanders or cosmetics or whatever and stuff. But now if we're just doing this as a narrative thing, I think we have to rethink what that is. Or maybe we pull back and not have it be a narrative thing for a single player, and we go back to what we were talking for live service, and then we'd really have to really think about the core loop and what that looks like. And because we've been talking about Helldivers 2 and Company of Heroes, and what does that look like and stuff too. And so we really just need to figure out what's more important. And I think it's the narrative, because we said the decisions that a player makes and stuff. And I feel like we lose the replayability, but it really doesn't need to be replayable if we're just making a very small game that's focused on a narrative. And it's like maybe 15, 20 hours of narrative, and they play it and it's done type of thing. Like, it doesn't need to be this big extravagant thing either and stuff. And I think that's what I'm trying to go for here as well too. So we'll talk about monetization, and we'll start talking about asset list as a part of that as well too, when we get into our next stream. So if you've been around, thanks for tuning in. I didn't see any questions in the comments, but and I didn't change this over either. Let me see. I hear fire. I see fireworks. I'm just changing the the category on the stream. Game development. Yeah, it stopped raining too, so I think cool. Yeah, we got that update. Next time we'll talk about the asset list, the monetization, like I was talking about, and probably some other things as well too, because I like to just like go off on different tangents as well too. And from there, then we can start breaking down our project a bit more as well too, and we can start moving more into different aspects of the game design once we have some of those things figured out. So tune in next time. I don't know when I'm going to stream next, to be honest. And maybe this weekend. Otherwise, it'll probably be closer to next week when I have off. I think I have off Tuesday, Wednesday next week. I may try and do earlier, but I'll try and give you all a heads up on when that may be. Please follow my social media. Usually Twitter. I'll never call it X. Usually I'll announce it on Twitter or Instagram. Most likely Twitter. because there I can just punch in a few words and say, hey, it's streaming this date at this time and stuff. Whereas Instagram, I would have to make like a video post. I guess I could put text over a video or something like that, but it's a little bit more work to do on Instagram. It's just really easy for me to get it out and on Twitter. So follow my Twitter and some of my other social media channels so that you can be up to date. If you can, follow me here as well too. And yeah, we will talk to you all later. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great 4th. Have a great night. Be safe if you're using fireworks and you're in the US as well too. And we will talk to you all later. Bye.